It's day 4 of our road trip around Japan. Today we're heading south towards Beppu, but before we hit the road, we need coffee. We found this cool cafe called Blend, and it looked so cozy. I went in first to check out the menu, and then signaled for the others to come in. This is where it started. They were kind of rude about my hair. I felt really embarrassed. I usually cover it with a bandana because it's curly and gets frizzy. I don't think it's been a problem before, but the woman there told me that it's against the rules to have long hair in their store. I could feel my cheeks getting hot. I thought about leaving, but then I saw this cool drink called sakura, which is cherry blossoms. I love cherry blossoms, so I decided to stay. But then the lady came back and told me that if I didn't leave, she was going to call the police. She said it was in the rules, and that everyone had to follow them. The place was pretty empty, so I asked if I could sit outside instead. Then the lady started screaming at me. I was so upset. I wanted to go home. The last thing I remember is seeing black dots. I'll rewind the scene a little bit. That same morning, my friend Hannah got a text from her friend Rico saying that she couldn't meet her today because she was having an emergency at home. She needed someone to watch her son while she took care of things. Hannah was happy to help because they'd been friends since elementary school. When Hannah arrived, the house was in chaos. Her friend's husband, Akira, was yelling on the phone, and her son Taro was crying because he spilled juice on the floor. Then he turned to Hannah and said, "You should get out too. Mama says we're cursed. She doesn't want us here anymore." He burst into tears and hugged her leg. His mom came out of the bedroom and told Hannah that she couldn't watch Taro today. "You see," she said, "our family's cursed. Bad things always happen to us, and it brings my husband stress. I don't want you to catch it." Hannah was speechless. She couldn't believe her friend would blame her and put the burden on her son. Both stories are fiction, but they show how deeply ingrained microaggressions and stereotypes can be in everyday life. In a country where 98% of the population is Japanese, being foreign, whether from India, China, the Philippines, or America, means that you're a member of an invisible minority. But how does that make you feel? Are you treated with respect? Hi, I'm a journalist based in Tokyo. I've lived in Japan for nearly 5 years, and this is my channel. Japan is often praised as one of the safest countries in the world. People say that you can walk alone at night without worrying about being harassed. Crime rates are low, and the locals are super polite. But beneath this glossy surface lies another reality. Japan has one of the highest rates of suicide among developed nations, and mental health issues are widespread. On top of that, in recent times, there's been a rise in hate crimes targeting foreigners. In 2019, a survey by the police found that hate crimes reached a record high with more than 2,400 cases. Double the number from 4 years earlier, according to the Human Rights Watch. Many of these cases go unreported because immigrants fear being detained or deported. So what's going on? Why is Japan becoming less welcoming? And are Indians specifically targeted? To understand the problem, we need to look at the root cause, starting with the basics. Since childhood, Japanese people are taught to follow a set of unwritten rules. They're expected to show respect to elders, avoid drawing attention to themselves, maintain harmony within their group, and above all, conform to the majority. For example, they know not to talk loudly on the street, not to tip over the rice bowl, or to say thank you with 2 hands to show respect. Such norms help maintain social order, but they can be hard for outsiders to navigate. Failure to do so can result in unintentional offense. But that's not all. For decades, Japan kept its borders tightly closed off from the rest of the world. Only allowed a few carefully selected tourists in, so most Japanese people had little exposure to other cultures, especially those from South Asia. As a result, they grew up with limited understanding and even prejudice against non-Asians. In such a homogeneous environment, when someone stands out, they become the center of attention, not always in a good way. It's happened to me many times when I am walking down the street and people stare at me and whisper things while pointing. Sometimes it's because they want to practice their English. Other times it's because they've never seen someone who looks like me before. But in either case, it's hard to ignore. What makes it worse is that Japan has one of the lowest fertility rates in the world. Having fewer babies means an aging population, which puts a strain on the workforce. So now there's a big push to welcome foreign workers to fill the gaps. But the social integration hasn't caught up with the economic benefits. In fact, according to a survey by the Health, Labor, and Welfare Ministry, 51.1% of foreign residents had experienced some form of discrimination in areas such as employment, housing, medical care, and daily life. So, are Indians specifically targeted? Well, it depends. I haven't faced much discrimination because of my American passport and my lighter skin tone. But my Indian friends who come on tourist visas and look Middle Eastern have had unpleasant experiences with security guards at stores and have been followed around suspiciously by salespeople. It's not pleasant, but fortunately it's rare. On the other hand, I've had many African friends who could unfind jobs or rental apartments because of their skin color. It's sad, but it's true. And when incidents like these happen, it reinforces negative stereotypes and feeds the cycle of discrimination. Well, let's talk about marriage because that can be a whole other issue. When Japanese women marry non-Japanese men, they often have to deal with pressure from their families to change their nationality. If they decide to keep their Japanese citizenship, they might face subtle discrimination from both sides because they're neither fully Japanese nor fully foreign. They become a sort of third-class citizen. So what is Japan doing to tackle this problem? Well, the government has implemented several measures to promote diversity and inclusion. They've launched campaigns to raise awareness about human rights, pooled guidelines for local governments to prevent discrimination, and provided language support services to foreign residents. They're also working to make products and services more accessible to people with disabilities. But it's a slow process. Japan is a country where nothing changes overnight. Plus, the problem isn't just about ticking boxes on a government report. It's about changing deeply rooted societal norms. That requires a collective effort from everyone. As Hannah found out, Japanese society is not very accepting of mixed-race children. Many people still hold old-fashioned beliefs that having a child with a foreigner is somehow unnatural or shameful. This can lead to hurtful comments and even bullying, which can traumatize the children. For example, in school, Taro often heard his classmates calling him names like China boy or dirty foreigner. He didn't understand why they were being so mean. All he knew was that he liked playing with the Legos during recess. One day, he brought a set of colorful blocks to school and proudly showed them to his classmates. Ow. But they made fun of him and threw his blocks away. "Don't play with that dirty stuff," they shouted. Poor Taro didn't know what to do. He felt lonely and scared. Hannah realized that it was up to her to protect her friend's son, so she started by talking to the other kids. She explained that it's wrong to judge someone by their appearance, and that everyone deserves to be treated with kindness. It wasn't easy, but she kept trying. Slowly but surely, the kids started to understand. They apologized to Taro and promised to be his friends. Hannah also reached out to the parents and invited them over for a home-cooked meal. She told them about the importance of embracing diversity and celebrating differences. At first, some of them were hesitant, but eventually, they warmed up to the idea. They realized that they could learn so much from other cultures, and that their kids would grow up to be more open-minded, tolerant, and compassionate citizens. Together, they created a welcoming environment where everyone felt accepted and valued. And that's what Japan needs more of: more open-minded, tolerant, and compassionate citizens. Because change doesn't happen overnight. It happens one conversation at a time. That was our story for today. Did you enjoy it? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're interested in learning more about life in Japan, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future videos. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.